This is the museum.
This is the museum.
We'll be walking in here to do a
Tour.
with Tony Warriner.
Now, do you want to know about the cinema?
Yeah, please.
Because this was the cinema up here above the co-op shops, which was down here. And this is a picture of when it was being pulled down, and you can see here this was the cinema, and if you look in there you can see the holes in the wall.
What date was it when it was pulled down? Like,
Well, it was about 1963, something like that, when it was pulled down. Probably a bit later, but to that.
is that the shop that my mum works at now then, that one?
No. The shop your mother works at now is that one, the London Stores.
Is it?
But this is the old one, because now that bit is extended out, so it's a lot bigger here, like here. That's where your mother works. And this building here was originally possibly going to be the offices for the colliery, but never seems to be used much for the offices. But if you look, it was sort of meant to be on a corner like that, and you probably went through the corner door.
Yep.
To it. And this was the stables and so on, where they kept the hay for the pit ponies and the horses and so on that came, they were at the pit. But I don't think the pit ever used it as an office. It was probably built independently by somebody, but never got used, because they built offices at the pit itself.
Moving on.
Yeah, right then. Have to know about these two.
Yep.
These three. Those three were what they called the half-ton club, and those three chaps, they reckon, weighed between them half a ton. Well, that had put them above 20 stone each, so whether they were half a ton or not, I don't know, but that's reputed to be. These were Warriner.Part1 School digging in Scarcliffe Park, where the Romans used to be, because the Romans were in Scarcliffe Park, and they had a sort of little fort place there where they smelted lead and iron and so on there.
Do you know exactly what they were looking for?
Yeah, they were looking for the Roman bits, what they could find, and they found out some of the Roman hearths and some of the streets and so on that had been there.
Is that also at Warriner.Part1 School there?
That was Warriner.Part1 School. No, that's Women's Institute. They had a hut on that cross square down at the bottom of Main Street, and they had children's parties and so on in there.
Yep. Right.
Fat Sam lived at the end house on Portland Row. When he died, he was so big they couldn't get his coffin through the door, it had to come through the window.
What else you want to show us, Tony?
Let's have a look, see what else we've got. Oh yeah, this one. This was a miner at the pit, Ernie Shaw, and he was an alcoholic, and he was always drunk. In fact, it was one of the under-manager's job at the pit, when he was on shift, to make sure he was sober enough to go and work down the pit. And he and his wife were always having fights. And one day he was at the doctor's having his head stitched, and the doctor said to him, "How have you cut your head?" So he said, "Well, she threw some tomatoes at me." So the doctor said, "Well, tomatoes never made this cut." He says, "Well, they were in a tin at the time." This was down the pit. Ted Carrington and Roy Hales. Ted Carrington was a deputy, so he was giving orders to Roy as to what the work they wanted
Can I
to
ask
do.
you what time pit closed at in Langwith?
That was 1972. These were pit ponies at the pit. The pit at one time had over 200 ponies in it. A lot of ponies pulling all the tubs and so on. Gradually, as the years went on, they gradually got rid of them because they had, mechanical ways and so on.
So who was that? Is that an army worker there or something?
That George Cooper, he was at the pit, then had to go into the First World War, and there is a corporal, but they shot so many officers during the First World War that he came out as a captain, and he went back to the pit after the war, and he worked in the officers there, and he started the Church Lads Brigade and the Boys Brigade at Langwith, which ran for a long time.
Adult shit, Tony. What about them over there, stuff up there?
What?
Some of these pottery and that.
Yeah, well, I ain't got any pottery, but these are some of the farming bits. This is a stomach pump for a horse, because horses can get very bad indigestion, colic it's called, and what they do, they lie on their back and squirm about and twist the bowel and kill themselves. So if they get this indigestion, you put that stomach pump up them and try and empty the stomach to stop the problem.
Is that to stop them killing them?
Yeah, horseshoes, cattle medicines, sickles, and that one at the back there is an adze. It's like an axe, but in another direction. So if you wanted to smooth a log down rather than split it, you'd use an adze.
So what were they used for then?
Well, if you got a beam of timber, a trunk of timber,
yep,
and you wanted to make it square, you'd use an adze to do it. What they're doing. That's a branding iron for marking your sheep.
So what are them signs then?
Yes, AW. It was Anthony Warriner, a relation of mine. What you did, you stuck it into some tar and then branded your sheep with it.
Right.
You want to go in there?
Yep.